Hi everyone. Make sure you hit the like button as you come in. If you want to share me out, share me out. Um, I'm gonna be on here for an hour, try to get this done for the closing arguments, and then we're just going to wait. On tomorrow, I'll try to listen to the opening statement from uh, the prosecution on tomorrow. Hey King Chris, where how are you today? Y'all, I am a little tired, man. I've been up running today, so I am trying to finish up some schoolwork. Probably won't get to it till tomorrow, but make sure you guys hit the like button. We're going to get into the content. I'm going to wait a minute or two, and then we're going to get into it and go into the closing arguments on the prosecution in the defensive side. I definitely want to say that um, I definitely want to say that I don't think they're going to be charged with murder. They may get manslaughter. They may get second degree murder, but first degree, no. I honestly believe they may get manslaughter. Um, and covering up the the death of these children. I honestly do not believe that they're going to be found not. I think they're going to be found not guilty of murder, but manslaughter. The other charges that they kind of got, they gonna get that because they if this was an accident. Hey Anastasia, how are you today? If this was an accident, then all they had to do was call the hospital, call 911, and tell them that this little boy was losing his life. They were so worried about losing the money that they weren't worried about these little boy's life. So I honestly don't think that they're going to be charged. They're going to be found guilty of murder, but I do they're going to be found guilty on other charges. I do know that they ain't going. They gonna do some time. I honestly do believe that they are going to do some time. It won't be for murder though. There's no proof of murder because of what the son said. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying, y'all. The son didn't say that he saw them murder nobody. He just said he seen the son said he seen Oren laying there and he touched him and he was cold. So they need to get them for, messing with the corpse or not reporting a death and stuff like that. They're not probably going to be charged with murder. And not because I'm on their side, don't think that, but the reason why I feel that they will not be charged for murder, well, they not will be charged for murder is because the kids doesn't the what the children say. Yes, they were abusing the children, but the evidence doesn't point in the direction of murder. No blood, nothing like that. They may have killed one, but they didn't kill both. But we're going to see um, what the closing arguments they are. They did do closing arguments, guys, on today, and it has it's over to the jury now. They are deliberating. They will start. It was like 6, maybe 5, 6 o'clock when they got done with closing arguments and the instruction by the judge. And they start tomorrow at 9 a.m. to make sure, and they're going to be on verdict watch. So we're going to be on verdict watch until I'll give them a few days to go through everything and see is guilty or not guilty. So let me go ahead, y'all. This says here closing argument scheduled for 9 a.m. this morning in the trial of Trezell and Jacqueline West, charged with murder and other crimes in the death of Orrin Ford and Orson, their adopted sons. Their body have not been found. Prosecutor Eric Smith says the boys died about 3 months before the West reported them missing. The defense The defense has argued their clients aren't to blame for the boy's disappearance, saying the children were taken while playing in the West California city backyard. The bailiff is letting the public inside the courtroom now. The jurors will follow in a moment. The jury has entered the courtroom and is taking a seat. Judge Charles R. Beamer told the jury closing arguments may finish today or tomorrow, but it actually finished today. So, hey Lakeisha, how are you today? Thank you for coming in, love bug. Um, so it says here, Beamer reminded everyone this is a court of law, not Jerry Springer, and asked everyone to continue to be on. Hey East Dad, how are you today? Well, go ahead and say what you're going to say, sir. Um, don't take what personal. Can you see? I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Okay, is that okay? Ooh, okay, funny. So it says here, prosecutor Eric Smith has begun his closing argument. It says here this he states that this case is somewhat different than in that no bodies have been found, Smith said. He said these types of cases are prosecuted across the country and it's not unheard of in any way. He quoted case law as saying the fact a murder successfully disposes of a body, a murderer successfully disposes of a body doesn't mean they're entitled to an acquittal. And see, that's what they're saying. You know, some people think, and that is true, you know, some of these people that murder people, they think because they have no body that, you know, that they're not going to be found guilty of anything if they haven't found the body. Oh, okay, that's all right. Thank you for the joke. It lightened up the mood. That's okay. Um, Now if you would have came on Saturday, he said you would have been we would have been cutting up. So it says here the evidence has to show Trezell and Jacqueline West caused the deaths. And if you believe that to be true, you can find them guilty of murder, Smith told the jury. They are wholly and completely dependent on their adoptive parents. But ultimately, those adoptive parents were abusive to them. He said the boys are dead. It says here that Mr. Smith states that Trezell and Jacqueline projected a certain image to their parents and relatives, but that's not who they are, who they were. They were physically abusive to Orrin and Orson. The West adopted for months. Listen to it now, y'all. Listen to this. Listen to this. Okay. Hey, Risa Cup. It says here they got $1,000 a month for each of their four adopted children. Smith said, and they abused Orrin and Orson, not their two biological children. So, they got about $4,000 a month for those children. Hey, Trisha. All right, East Dad. Have a good night. So they had got $4,000 for each child. I see why they didn't want to. They wanted to cover it up, baby. They ain't had to work. Think about it. They could have took about one or two more. That's $6,000 to sit at home. You did. So it says here their main source of income came from the adopted children. Still said they basically warehouse these children. A warehouse is just keeping y'all know what a warehouse is, right? A warehouse is just keeping them in storage. So they just because they never let these kids go outside hardly. Okay. They never, allowed them to play or interact with the other children. They just held the kids captive in the house and not let them go outside or do anything like that. Basically, like a warehouse, just keep stuff in storage. And I'm not calling the kids this, but this is basically what he's referring to when he said they warehouse these children. It means they just kept them in the house. When the adopted children cried, Jacqueline West put an arm around their neck and basically cut off their airways to get them to stop. Spankings from Trezell were so severe the children bled. It says here the West eldest child told a social worker the metal on his father's belt will cause the bleeding. The physical abuse is what happened to Orson, because they were crying, because they were not their own children. Smith showed two photos which he said are the last known photos of the boys alive. He asked the jury to look at Orson's face. Look at the sadness evident in his look. Right. If a child is being abused, all you have to do to know is children that are abused and do have a certain look in their eye. They're not happy children. If you ever been around children that have been abused or in a bad situation, you can actually look in their face and can tell, you know, something is not right or they're unhappy or being abused. It says here there are more than 65 witnesses and 120 marked exhibits presented in this case, Smith said. He said there is direct evidence, testimony of the West's eldest child, and circumstantial evidence, which he reminded the jury is not lesser than direct evidence. He said circumstantial evidence can be used to corroborate witness statements. Count 1 through 3 relates to Orrin. They are second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, and child abuse. So these are the charges that they want them to think about and think that, like I said, they probably won't get second degree. I don't believe they'll get that. So it says count 4 through 6 relates to Orrin. They are conspiracy to commit Orson, to conspiracy to commit murder or second degree murder and child abuse. The 7th charge is false reporting and emergency, applies to both boys. Now they're going to be charged with that. They will be charged for false reporting and emergency because they did something happened to them damn boys. Smith told the jury a person can be guilty as the direct perpetrator or as someone who aids and abets in the crime. If you know of someone's unlawful purpose and you help them, you can be equally. Okay. Equally culpable, the prosecutor said. So even like, and that's something that we all know. If you go with somebody and they done rob somebody, you could be just as guilty as them. That's why you don't go around. You know why you don't deal with people. Second degree murder is an unlawful killing and can be either an act or a failure. Listen to that. A failure to act with the knowledge of danger and disregard. Oh, hold on now. I might have to take my statement back. Or a knowledge of danger or disregard to human life. You don't need to have an intent to kill for second degree murder. So if them not reporting this man, no, they have never found the boys. So if they disregarded or Orson's passing away, and they just disregarded his body and disposed of it, that is considered second degree murder. Because it says to a failure to act with the knowledge of danger or disregard. So they've disregarded his life. See, child, we learning a lot. It says here, Smith said a parent has a legal duty to care for their child. If they have a legal duty and fail to act and the child dies, they can be found guilty of murder. In this case, Smith said, Orrin was lying there dying, and the West never called an ambulance or otherwise got him medical aid. It says, with Orson, the West conspired to kill Orson after Orrin's death. They came to an agreement to commit murder. They said they agreed that one of them would intentionally and unlawfully kill. There was conspiracy to commit the first-degree murder of Orson West, he said. There was premeditation and deliberation. He said it's unknown who inflicted the mortal wound to Orson, but it's one of the two co-conspirators, Trezell or Jacqueline. A charge of involuntary manslaughter is alleged for Orrin only. The jury can consider that or murder for Orrin's death. The West lived in an apartment on Lotus Lane in Bakersfield for many years. They purchased a home in California City on Aspen Way in September of 2020. The question, Smith said, is who moved into that home? Were Orrin and Orson there, or were they already dead? Cal City Police were called on December 21st, 2020. The agency had no experience with the case of that magnitude, so they asked for help. The FBI responded, but there were issues as to who was in charge. The Bakersfield Police Department later got involved, and it has to be noted the foundation of what Cal City Police were investigating came from two liars, Trezell and Jacqueline West. So the court is taking a brief recess. A juror has a nosebleed, and yep, you're right. And had to leave to take care of a nosebleed child. It says now it's back in session. The 911 call reporting the boys missing came in at 5:41 p.m. on December 21st. The investigation began with that call. Cal City Officer Brian Hansen arrived, looked at a vacant lot, and other officers searched the home. They drove around the area and found nothing. They found nothing. Absolutely nothing during all of that searching. Smith said of the helicopters, civilians, and law enforcement that canvassed the area. Police began noticing things the West said that wasn't adding up. They noted Trezell said he closed the gate so the dogs wouldn't get out. Well, somehow the kids got out. The description of the kids' clothing changed. The West's demeanor seemed off. There were no footprints in the dirt. So listen to this now. In dirt, this is true, unless the kids are walking on tippy toes. If there was no footprints, if someone came and took something, there would be footprints. Only footprints they found was Trezell's. There was no footprints in the dirt where the West said the boys were playing. The West gave inconsistent statements to the police. The time frame given by Jacqueline West was wrong. Alarm bells were going off with police as they continued to question the couple. Smith is going over the different surveillance camera footage from California City that the jury will have access to. None of those videos show children walking. There was testimony regarding 4 separate residences with surveillance footage. One video shows Trezell going in and out of the gate in his backyard. At some point, he's seen walking from the gate area to the house. If the children had been there, that's when they would have walked away from the home. Right. It makes sense right there. If he going in and out, see, they planned, they made a plan, but it was the stupidest plan to go in and out of a gate and say that, hey, you know, we can use this gate and made like, but see, they so damn stupid. Excuse my language. They didn't plan their plan right because they didn't know that people have surveillance cameras on their homes now. Like I got a neighbor that's across the street from me got a surveillance camera. And every time I drive by or somebody drive by, their surveillance light comes on. I bet you they got that they can see what's going on in my house right now. It's weird and it's scary, but it's protection. And I got a little a door cam too. So people have door cams now. Tregelle and Jacqueline really didn't think this through because ain't no way you in and out of a fence and ain't no children like my children. If I'm doing something, they're gonna want to run out and do something too. Like if I'm outside helping wood, most of the kids will want to help bring the wood in or just run around and playing while I'm talking about in and out of the gate, playing in and out of the fence. So that's ridiculous. I'm just saying, Reese. He said there's no children visible, none whatsoever. There's no adult visible approaching the home. Smith said in that video, there is no sign whatsoever of Orrin and Orson on December the 21st. No blood evidence was found, but Smith said this wasn't a shooting or stabbing. That's not how you kill children. They would have been choked or drowned, subjected to something that cut off their airways. Disposing of the bodies would have been as simple as placing them in a garbage bag and throwing them away. The boys were small. It wouldn't have been difficult. A diaper found in a trash. Listen to this. A diaper found in a trash bag after Bakersfield's police department got involved tested positive for DNA evidence for two of the West children, but not Orrin and Orson. So y'all made these goddamn kids pee on in these diapers. To pee on the diapers. To pee, I bet y'all, how much y'all want to bet that these kids was peeing on a diaper? They set this up, just like I said, them diapers out there in them fields and stuff like that, they planted them there. That's my assumption, that they planted them there. And just like they had them kids peeing on peeing in these diapers, there's a reason. It wasn't Orrin and Orson DNA. It says here Smith is going over mattresses and pillows where the boys' DNA was not found. Orrin and Orson DNA was not found in the rooms where they were supposed to be staying in Cal City. The backyard gate was difficult to open, as seen in a video of a Bakersfield detective opening and closing it. The boys wouldn't have been able to open it, Smith said. Says Tregelle and Jacqueline gave conflicting statements as to who closed the gate. Tregelle in the interview said 100% he didn't close it. Jacqueline said she didn't close it when questioned. Again, none of their stories are lining up at all, Smith said. Jacqueline said she was wrapping gifts in the living room, but Tregelle said she wasn't there. It says here, Smith is playing portions of interviews. Jacqueline tells police she went down the street looking for the boys. No, she did not, Smith said. That's an absolute lie. He said the video showed she wasn't there. On record showed Jacqueline and Tregelle spent about 5 minutes talking on the phone with their eldest son, not searching. So they on the phone with their oldest son, not looking for the boys. So the eldest son knows what happened. The eldest son knows what happened. And there's not a doubt in my mind. It says here, Smith said the West even created a fictional characters. I knew he was going to tear him up on this one. I knew he was going to tear her up on this one. Fictional characters. Jacqueline West at first says the biological family had no contact with the boys, but months later says an Aunt TT had the kids for a week earlier in 2020. She provides no contact information for TT. She said a cadaver dog was brought to the home because of what Jacqueline told investigators about two dirt mounds. And she was asked if there were the boys were buried. She said maybe. Now, why would you say maybe if you said that the boys were kidnapped? Why would you say maybe? Why would you say maybe? If you said that the boys was missing and was taken, but you say you mentioned 2 great mounds and they maybe be buried there. Really? It says here remains weren't found, but the dog did alert to the area, Jacqueline pointed out. Smith said death had been in that backyard at some time, at some point. Perla Martinez, Jacqueline's sister, never met Orrin or Orson during video calls. The camera moved around and she couldn't see who was there. She testified she didn't know what the boys looked like. Maria Martinez, Jacqueline's mother, said she didn't watch the boys or have much contact with them. She was so disconnected, Smith said she didn't even know their names. Now, ain't that um now that's just crazy right there. Now the mama, you told the kids that Orson went over Grandmama Maria's house, and Grandmama Maria saying she ain't watched no children, and she don't even know their name. Now this I'll be sitting here on the jury stand like something ain't right. The grandmama saying she don't know who it is. She don't know. But Jacqueline said, I'm just saying, y'all, let's get down to it. Now y'all know we done went over this statement, and I was like, y'all know it was when I first began, reading testimony to you guys. Grandma Maria, we already said that somebody was lying. Grandmama Maria ain't lying. She ain't never watched them kids. Jacqueline and Trezell been lying, and Grandma Maria been probably advising them on what to damn do. That's how she started adopting them children. Or Grandmama Maria, no, Grandma Maria ain't never watched them children. Grandmama Maria has been advising Jacqueline on what to do with these adopted children. Her ass knows some shit too. That's my opinion. But Grandmama Maria knows or is advising. That's how Jacqueline and Trezell got into the adoption business. If the remember Maria is adopt children too, or a place that take in children too, or she's take in foster children and get that check because you don't want to work. Let's just call a spade a spade. It says here, Maria testified she found it weird that her daughter wouldn't show her grandchildren during video calls. So only time, like the mother said, her and Jacqueline, they didn't have no relationship. She didn't know nothing about nothing. On the side of Trezell family, his parents and brother never saw the boys after COVID started. The mistake Trezell and Jacqueline was made is they thought law enforcement had to ask permission before interviewing their children. They don't need permission. Child. But ultimately, speaking with those children, it will change the course of this investigation. The 4 children gave consistent answers to who lived in Cal City, who was in the van, and when they were dropped off January the 19th, 2020 at Trezell's December the 19th. Smith is playing clips from the interviews with the children. At the apartment, one of the children says when asked when the last time he saw Orrin and Orson, the boy says Orrin and Orson are with Jacqueline's mother. Boy, the damn Eric Smith something serious with it. Do you hear me? I don't know, Reese. She may be fostering children that of her descent, So now we know this to be a lie. We know this to be a lie. because the boys didn't come back. For Maria never did say that she kept them and that they came to her house. None of that. So we know this to be a lie. He says that consistent with what his brothers have said their parents told them. Again, this is consistent, child after child, because they cry a lot, another child said when asked why Ora and Orson don't live with them in Cal City. Everything the other children said was consistent. The court is in recess. The court is back in session with Eric Smith. So it says here, the West eldest child told a social worker he saw Orrin die at the apartment in Bakersville, and his parents told him if he told anyone, he and his brothers will be taken away. Because the eldest child is so credible, the defense paid an expert witness between $35K to $42K to try to discredit him. And that is so true, baby. That's my salary just for a year. You know, $35,000 to $45,000. That's a lot of money. He said he knew the right thing. Smith said the eldest child. The reason he didn't say anything earlier is because of his parents. Smith played a recording with Jacqueline, and Trezell told the eldest son during a phone call that he didn't have to talk to anybody. They wanted him to stay quiet because they knew the truth would come out, Smith said. Going over the events of December the 19th, Smith said Wanda West Trezell's mother never saw Orrin or Orson, despite spending time in the van where the boys were, supposedly sleeping in the back. And that's crazy that she never, looked in the back and say, let me check to see how the boys looking while they were asleep. That was very weird. The West made multiple stops that day. Surveillance footage never shows Orrin Orson. Smith is going over December the 5th, where the West separately went to different locations after their 4 other children had been dropped off at a relative. Orrin and Orson aren't seen in any of the videos. Where are Orrin and Orson? They're dead. Smith is going over the September 2020 timeline, the month in which he says both Orrin and Orson died. Orson is killed the night of September the 17th, 2020, the attorney said. Wanda West Trezell's mothers arrived the next day and watched the 4 children. She doesn't see Orrin or Orson. Jacqueline West tells her the boys are with them in a U-Haul they're using to move from Bakersville to Cal City. Wanda West didn't see Orrin and Orson despite staying at the Cal City house from September the 18th through September the 20th. So, child, something ain't right with that. Real said this case is about cooperation. All the circumstantial evidence points to one thing. The boys were never in California City, Smith said. When their kids do things wrong, the West react with violence, Smith said. They spank with the belt until the children bleed. They choke them. Their whole lives are based off money for the 4 kids they adopted. Well, after Orrin died, the only way they could get away with it would be to kill Orson. They then had 3 months to discard the bodies, get new phones. Trezell and Jacqueline have no moral fiber. They killed 2 kids. Trezell and Jacqueline West murdered Orrin and Orson, he said. Smith ended his closing by asking the jurors to find the West guilty on all charges. Court will resume at 1:30. So let me see if I can find the rest. Give me a second. What do you guys think so far of the prosecution? Child, it's in the exactly. Especially children. The it's in the they deliberating. It'll probably take them a few days to deliberate. They have a lot of videos to go over. My first thing is sitting in. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. If you was in the jury stand, like what would be the first thing you would do? I would go to the timeline and see, when were the boys spotted, and try to get a timeline. Go to the children's statements. I try to get a timeline, You said that the boys were, and then look at everybody testimony and say, okay, let's start with the kids. Start with the kids and timeline of the kids. Then I'll start with Maria. And I'll go down to Maria and see what all she said that happened when she called and did she watch the kid. Maria never said that she watched any kids. So I had to question it like, okay, Maria ain't checked no Maria ain't seen no kids. And all the children are saying that they weren't in Cal City and Orson was not in the van. Okay, that's what I would have to. Right, right. They would have to. The defense thing is they have to produce. They have to prove that the boys were at the home. They have not. They're just trying to say that Cal City and Bakersfield and the FBI did a shoddy investigation. We all know that they did do a. They did not investigate everything, but Eric Smith, the prosecutor, did a great job of doing a timeline and breaking it down. It was boring the first 20 days. It was a boring trial because we couldn't get we couldn't get to the meat and potatoes of it all. But what he was doing was setting up a timeline. And I'm not no law person or nothing like that, but this is what I'm thinking. He was setting up a timeline from when they called all the way down to the talk to the last investigator. And he set up a timeline on when the officers arrived, children, and all of that. Defense came with the only thing they had was an expert that had a shoddy record. Because if you Google her on on if you Google this lady, they say she is not a good witness, and she said that she's gonna be on whatever side that pays her some money. The math ain't mathing at all. But we do have to look at the defense side of everything. So let me find out. But let me say this though: the math is not mathing. So in the chat, while I'm looking for everything, and I'll come back to the chat in a minute. What do you guys think they should be charged with? They got second degree murder on the docket. They got manslaughter. They have child abuse. They have like I what it is filing a fake emergency. What do you guys think? After going over everything, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that they should be convicted of second degree murder? Hold on, y'all. Let me get it together. Uh, let me go back. Yeah, I feel like they should, saying second degree ties it all in though. If they had no regard for, even if the boy was dying, you didn't even call 911. You didn't even call. 911. Didn't even call 911. That could have saved the boy's life. You should, or you could have found that determined that he could have choked on something, and you know what I'm saying. But y'all was so worried about the child being taken that y'all was gonna lose the other children. That made you look a little more suspicious too, because if the child had ate something and he was accidentally vomited or strangled in his sleep, then SIDS, we done heard of SIDS and all that, then why would you even think that the kids was gonna be taken? I know y'all not that slow. All right, y'all, the defense on the stand now. Let's get to it. Yeah, fraud. Oh yeah, that is fraud. They should be charged for fraud. Yep. They at least collected for like 3 to 4 to 5, 6, 7, 8 months. They probably still collected after they were found missing. All right, y'all. Okay, it says here the public and jurors have been let back in the courtroom, and the defense is about to present their closing argument. The defense has placed a number of items, including toys, Christmas stockings, and a child car seat on the defense table. Child trying to play at somebody's heartstrings. Timothy Hennessy, lead counsel for Giselle West, told the juries he's scared of saying one thing that could turn the jury against him. He said he using notes to give him some sense of control. He said he's scared not only for the West, but for himself, because if he can't show the jury what the prosecution is trying to do, then he's just some idiot with silk around his neck. Y'all, let's Child. He says the birth parents' DNA is on the car seat in the van. Hennessy said the boys gave conflicting stories, and a car had was seen driving away from the area. He said the prosecution whole theory of what happened doesn't make sense. Hennessy said there are lights seen, possible a car leaving on the night of the reported disappearance that the prosecution can't explain. This man has no this man has no moral fiber. Hennessy said, and he displayed photos of Giselle holding the children with a smile. He said the prosecution needs more evidence if they're going to make that claim. Hennessy is referring to Cal City role in the investigation and their failure to document all evidence, and how there is even a jury instruction about how police failed to get surveillance footage from one house. Hennessy has mentioned COVID, George Floyd, and Tiger King in explaining how weird it was, how it was. What the hell? Let me say this. What the hell does George Floyd? What does the Tiger King? And what does? Y'all ready? We was in a weird time, and so the boys ended up missing because we was in a weird time. Can y'all read it? Let me see. It might be a little bit. Hennessy said, "Hold on, this man done went off. What the hell, George Floyd? So now you're trying to make this a racial thing. That's what you're trying to do, sir." Hennessy has mentioned COVID, George Floyd, and Tiger King. Now, y'all know if y'all watch Tiger King, that was a Netflix documentary series of and that dude in jail and how it was a weird time. The reality is that two little boys went missing. They got took, and that is terrifying. The attorney told the jury they have to think it's odd that they saw more videos than any of the detectives. Hennessy said he pointed out a car leaving the scene of the West House during his opening statements, and authorities weren't even aware of it. He said that shouldn't happen. Cal City Police didn't look into registered sex offenders living in the area. There should have been more investigation into a tip reporting the boys had been seen in Arlington, Texas. But those questions have scary answers. Why are there blinders on? Hennessy asked. He said it's because they're scared, so they just focused on the West and didn't do more testing. Look into other possibilities. Law enforcement didn't do enough, Hennessy said. They were stuck with the decision made early on when Cal City Police didn't take into account that someone took the boys. But the question is to defense, how you gonna prove that somebody took the boys? Y'all ain't proved that somebody took the boys. There is no there's no circumstantial evidence or evidence showing that someone took the boys. They anyway, they were tied to what Cal City Hanson did. Hennessy said, and that Hanson was wrong in his belief the West were responsible. Hanson was ready to arrest the West the night of the reported disappearance, Hennessy said. The officer suggested he was going to arrest Trezell while in his house questioning him. Hennessy noted a realtor who went to the Cal City home testified he was confident he saw at least 5 children. And it probably was 5 children. And then it went down to 4. It says here one of West Trezell's mothers was scared too. And said she got dates and times wrong, doesn't accurately remember events. So now you're trying to discredit the mom. Everyone was under the same spell. Some from investigators to family members refused to look into other possibilities. The other children were given examinations, and there's no evidence that corroborates they were abused, Hennessy said. Race is hard to understand. Here we go with the race card. Race is hard to talk about. And it is. Racism and race and it's a hard subject to talk about and bring awareness to. But in this case, race ain't got shit to do with it. Trezell and Jack, because they are a mixed, as you said, Trezell and Jacqueline are a mixed race couple. So race ain't got nothing to do with this. Nothing. A guy captured on surveillance footage riding a bike to a store was identified by an officer at trial as Trezell Rest. It wasn't. He said it was another black man. Trezell showed up later in a van, he said. So a man it appeared at the store. Okay, so you saying right. So if he's seen 5 children, that means one of the boys were still living at that time, Reese. That's all. And by the time they made it up, maybe a week or two later, they killed him. Hennessy, who is white, said if his child went missing, police wouldn't be calling him a liar the night of, taking his gun and questioning his account. He said they would have investigated everything. He said when they rested their case, you had to have winced a little thinking. That's all, Hennessy said in reference to the prosecution. He finished his argument, and the court is taking a 15-minute break. Court is back in session, and Alexia Stallings, I can't stand her, lead counsel for Jacqueline has done her closing argument. Torres is going over a few jury instructions and says she will show how they apply to her closing. How to evaluate a witness testimony. Now you're trying to tell them how to go into the courtroom, but you still ain't proved that these boys, how they came up missing and that somebody took them. You trying to tell the jury how to vote. Let's go. How to evaluate a witness test. There are a number of things to consider, including how well could the witness see or hear the event, how reasonable their testimony in light of the other evidence, what was their behavior like while testifying. Torres Stalin is referring to Officer Brian Hansen's testimony, said there are glaring issues in this case that cannot be excused. Other than the testimony of the Wells eldest child, everything presented in this case is circumstantial evidence. And the prosecutor said that. So what is it? What is the objection? What is your objection, Reese? What is your objection? Um, she said if two reasonable conclusions can be drawn from circumstantial evidence, is one pointing to innocence and the other to guilt. Then the jury must choose the one pointing to innocence. Let's see what she's talking about. Child, please. This isn't a case where there's an overwhelming amount of evidence. Torres said there are no confessions, no forensic evidence. No more DNA tests should have been done. Fingerprints should have been collected. The eldest child testimony is the heart of the prosecution case. Torres, it's not that the other children's testimony wasn't important, but the eldest child is what the case against the West was built on. There were issues with how the children were questioned. Torres Stallings continued to go over how the children were questioned. Social worker Sonia Barton was the first person to mention a body in the interview with the eldest child until she mentioned that the boy had said nothing about death or a body. Torres Stalling read part of the grand jury testimony where the eldest child, Orrin and Orson, were seen a few days before Christmas 2020. She noted defense attorneys aren't present during grand jury testimony and couldn't ask follow-up questions. Torres Stalling said she's not calling the eldest son a liar, but the surrounding circumstances needed to be taken into consideration when evaluating his testimony. Law enforcement was supposed to protect the West, not blame them. Protect them from what? Protect them from what? Exactly. Petty. Torres thought, she said law enforcement didn't take them seriously. She said investigators kept telling Jacqueline West they were taking her kids. That's hard, Torres Stalling said, her voice wavering, especially 4 days before Christmas. Law enforcement told Jacqueline West the chances were slim that a stranger took the kids, but Torres Stallings mentioned the cases of J.C. Dugard, and other prominent stranger kidnappers to illustrate it does in fact happen. Yes, it does. I honestly can say that, agree. But in this situation, child, where there is no evidence, no footprint, Torres Stalling is playing a portion of an interview which a detective tells Jacqueline everything bad that's going to happen to her if she doesn't tell the truth. As the audio played, Torres Stalling showed a video of the West now empty home and said everything the detective said came true. They lost their children, family, and friends, all because of greed. Let me just say this. I honestly do believe they lost everything all because of greed. They didn't love those boys as their own. And that's why they're in the position they're in. Their inconsistent statements, their lies. There was no damn TT, Jacqueline. And you know, the the inconsistent statements and the children. The children was, I told y'all, the children was going to cause them to be convicted or be in this jury. It does not. It does not. It does not. But the great thing about this is, but Jacqueline and Trezell West are still together. They haven't turned on each other. There is nothing in this case that points to the unreasonable conclusion they did anything. Smith is now giving his rebuttal testimony, then the case will go to jury. So let me see what this say right here. Nope. Okay, so Smith rebuttal has ended. The judge is giving. Okay. Smith, during his rebuttal, focused on the eldest child testimony and how he described seeing Orrin die and how strong that evidence is. He said the West were adopted by abusive parents. Orrin Orson was adopted by abusive parents who killed him, and it's time for justice. And he asked the jury to find him guilty. Um, so let me see. I know he got some more stuff. Hold on, y'all. Let me make sure. Eric Smith said some stuff, baby. He said some stuff. He made them out to be the liars. Cause he was like, cause I listened to some of it. He was like, they're saying that, we didn't do a proper that they didn't do a proper investigation. They're saying the kids are a liar. These kids are not lying. Jacqueline and Trezell, they have made up so many lies about people, saying that the mother was watching the children weren't even being watched by the mother. He said a lot of stuff. Hold on, y'all. Let me go back up. Now, for Hennessy to say that everybody was scared and he's scared, what if Jacqueline and Trezell is telling the truth and nothing, they haven't done anything wrong, they shouldn't have nothing to be afraid of. To try to bring the race card, that's not proving anything. That's not putting reasonable doubt in my mind, saying that you're scared. Um, and to try to tell me how to do the jury instruction, how you gonna try to tell me how I should go about trying to figure out what happened? I had to disregard her too. um, Hold on, y'all. Okay, so I ain't finished everything, so I'm gonna just do it this way. So let's go back to Tori. She said Tori Stallings continues to go out with how the children will question. Uh, he said social workers was the first person to mention a body. Okay, we got to that. Okay, we got to that. Hold on, y'all. He said Tori Star said she's not calling the other son a liar, but circumstantial show three. I believe she is trying to make the boy. How y'all not gonna call the boy a liar, but but how you say you're not calling the little boy a liar? But you paid like 35 to 45K to rebut everything he said. So so the judge have gave final jury instruction. Hopefully they recorded everything and we can listen to it ourselves. Man, it may take us a while to listen to all this. So someone said, yeah, she basically did not get a defense attorney job, but calling him liar is disgusting. It is true, Miss Elizabeth Gregory. You are telling the truth. So y'all, that is the closing arguments for the trial of Jacqueline and Trezell West. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat if y'all have anything y'all want to say. There is the link. If y'all want to put in the chat what your guys' thoughts of the closing statements, and do you guys actually do think that they're going to be found guilty if they second degree? Maybe. When I really read and understood what he said what second degree murder is, now I get it. They could, because if they disregarded Orrin's life and did not call the ambulance and discarded his body, that's like murder. Didn't have no regard for this baby life. So that is the link. But I honestly do believe that they didn't have no regard for these children's life. And that what bothers me. That what bothers me. They didn't love those kids. They only thought about their children. So Warren Orson probably was malnourished and everything. We won't know. Their body probably gone in a landfill somewhere. Okay, let me see. Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can Google a jury. Ooh, I would love to get a jury interview. I would love to get a juror interview like I did on that to give Beverly trial. And trust me, I still can talk to her. And guess what? No, they don't care. But crying when their kids testify. I don't know, it don't give me that. I couldn't tell you, Risa. Nah, I figured they wasn't his either. That's why I told y'all that I felt like they planted them there. They ain't gonna testify because no. Well, we'll see. We on verdict watch, y'all. We done got to the end of this one, y'all. This one have finally ended. Where are the boys? Have finally ended. We're we're on to the verdict watch. We're trying to figure out if Jacqueline and Trezell is going to be found guilty of second degree murder, manslaughter, child abuse, and it's like three more charges. And creating a false emergency. I think they're gonna get that one. They gonna get that one. Creating a false emergency. They gonna get that one. And child abuse. Yep. Um, it's just gonna be between the manslaughter and the second degree. I don't know what would be more appropriate. I don't think they're gonna charge them with both, all six or six. No, first three. They got six apiece, but three for one boy, three for the other little boy. So I don't know, y'all, but the judge, I mean, Mr. Hanson told her, "Hey, tell the truth. If you don't tell the truth, then it says 7-1 on the jury. It's no way. I don't think either side did great for them. Yes, no one saw the children. And for the kids to say, this is what stands out to me the most is when the kids said, well, my mom said that um she that Orson went to Grandma Maria's house. And then they keep mentioning a deep freezer in Maria's house. I'm like, did they put the boys in Maria's deep freezer? Or freezer? And but then Maria comes and say that she ain't had no relationship with her daughter. She ain't seen her grandkids and she don't watch the kids. So I'll be like, hold up now. Now how she gonna say that she don't watch the kids, but the kids saying that the boys were over her house. Something ain't right with that. I'll be all confused. Um, child. All I know, they got to be found guilty on some stuff. Lying and failing to report a death and all that. It's gonna take a minute. I don't expect a verdict tomorrow. Maybe Friday. I expect a verdict maybe Friday. It may go over to the weekend or to next week. But I'm thinking Friday. It's gonna take a lot to comb through everything. Right. So which one is it? Her first statement? She didn't watch no damn kids. And she said that she read it. The jury better not be stupid. They have to, like they say, it has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And everything is circumstantial. Nothing is beyond a reasonable doubt. We do know about beyond a reasonable doubt that those boys are missing. I do believe that prosecution did prove that those boys were not in that home beyond a reasonable doubt. They did not make it to Cal City. They proved that. Now, did they prove death? No. Don't be like that. Yeah. I know, like, um when I talked to the juror on the Takia Beverly trial. um she said it didn't take them long to deliberate. She said that it some that everybody, they went in saying who thinks she innocent, one thinks she guilty. Everybody thought she was innocent, but one person, hey Mitchell for F, one person thought she was everybody thought she was innocent, but one person was indecisive because they wanted to look over everything to make sure that everything that they wasn't, and they was like, okay, that's fine. And they said, but none of the evidence was lining up that Takia had harmed Baby J. So she was like, everybody knew that she was innocent. Yeah, they'll say it all right there because the kids would have been playing. You would have seen kids' shadows or something playing in the background. The kids were not at that Cal City home. One thing for certain, and two things for sure. Them kids were not in that background. They were not in outside. Because Jacqueline Trezell probably had them kids stuck up in their house. And their bodies would not be found because they waited 2 to 3 months to report them missing. And they just say, that's what I'm saying. They thought they had it planned out. They thought they were slicker than a snake. But with the investigation, kids, and timeline, they gonna get something. Do I think it's second degree? I don't think so. I don't know. Number three, your ass got to go. Do not collect too much. Go to jail. Go directly to jail. I used to love playing Monopoly, baby. I used to get so bad when I get pull that card and said go to jail. Go directly to jail. Do not pay. Do not collect $200. Go to jail. I be like, man, do you have to roll about 2 3 times to get out of jail? I'm like, man, I'm ready to get out of jail, baby. You have to roll a double. It's hard to roll a double. And so, shoot, if you didn't roll a double, you have to pay to get like $50, put it in on free parking. Baby, you land on free parking, you may have about $1,000, $1,500 because everybody done been to jail. Yeah, I love Monopoly. Yeah, they do say that. Go to jail. Go directly to jail. Do not pass. Go. Do not collect the $200. um, but y'all, um, tomorrow, I don't know what I'm gonna talk about tomorrow. But if you guys want to listen, just to recap while we're waiting, I do want to listen to his entire Eric Smith. I am intrigued by his how he set up this um um set up his set up the trial, how he set it up, and how what's the difference between his closing argument and his opening statement. I want to see what his opening statement, what all he said in his opening statement. Because if it coincides with all that, then that man had everything down packed what he was gonna do. That man had a timeline. He was just putting up a timeline so the jurors would know. We do have the audio for the um opening statements. They put that out. Probably put out everything after they've been found guilty or not guilty. Right. Because look, those kids have been through so much tumultuous mess. He said 2024, me for president. We need something. This child. How things looking, we ain't getting up. We ain't gonna get by the time I get old, I ain't gonna have no social security. I ain't gonna have no social security when I get old. I'm gonna have to work all my life. And I'm just 39 years old. 38. One more year on myself. 38 years old. Well, y'all, anybody got anything else to say? All hearts and minds are clear. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat if you have anything you want to say or come on the line. There is the ink. You want to do an interview with me? Come on up, Chris. Lord, Jesus. What am I gonna ask you? What am I gonna ask you? Reese said click the link. Say they better stop taking it out of people's checks. Then I know, stop taking it out of people's checks, but don't usually work that way, love bug. Don't usually work that way. About your kid, y'all have a good night. I'm finna go to bed. Y'all have a good night. Chris tripping. Talking about his presidency. Child. Who you running mate? Kamala? No, Kamala said she riding with Joe. She said, Chris, hit the link. Said it. Reese said she got questions about prison reform. Can you put Jacqueline? No, let me stop. Y'all have a good night. I'll see you guys on tomorrow. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. If you're new to the channels, please subscribe. Share me out. Make sure y'all check out. If y'all have not checked out Mitchell for F, she is a content creator. She is. Make sure y'all check out Mitchell for F. She is a content creator. Subscribe to her channel. Good night.